Hello, thank you for joining Thursday's edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. On the program today, Nigerians commend suspension of SGF, NIA Director General. Death toll in meningitis outbreak hits 745. And ASUU calls for JAMB Registrar'S resignation. I'm being joined in the studio by Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, Akin-Ola Afolabi and Dari Odufowokan. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show. Well, Journalist Hangout starts now. The suspension of the Secretary General of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ayo Oke, has generated reactions from the Nigerian people. Many have extended kudos to the president for taking the bold step. Some members of the National Assembly also commended President Buhari for the suspension, saying it is an indication that there is no sacred cow in the fight against corruption. And they have also advised the president to extend the same disciplinary action to ministers accused of corruption. In the meantime, the Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayoshi has described it as an afterthought and a deliberate cover-up. Gentlemen, let's not talk about Fayoshi's reaction to this now, but let's get a feel of what you make of the president's coming to suspend these people after 5 months. Aki.
I think, interestingly, this is Nigerians are so happy at this level that at least the best has been done. Are
you happy as a Nigerian?
I mean, I'm happy as a Nigerian, and I think people should go beyond people should go beyond celebrating suspension. I would rather appreciate celebrating people going to jail for corrupt offenses. But at the same time, I won't appreciate a situation where the press will also be judgmental. Mind you, it's an allegation. Until proven otherwise, we should not assume the jurisdiction of a court. I feel Nigerians are happy, but I think the celebration should go beyond suspension. After the whole investigation, if they are guilty indeed, the road to prison should be wide open. That's my submission.
All right. Over to you.
Yeah, well, the reactions trailing the president's action, especially over the secretary to the government of the Federation, Babachi, after 5 months of being alleged, I would say varies. While I've heard people say it's better late than never, I've also heard people saying this is a little too late. But be that as it may, we should at least be happy that action has been taken. It will not help the anti-corruption drive of this administration if it is being perceived as unquotas that there are sacred cows in Buhari's government. So for the SGF, good move. And talking about the NIA, I don't think it should have been different. The allegations are grave. The amount involved is humongous. The explanations are unimaginable. I think suspending him should just, like my colleague said, be the beginning of things to come. Things to come.
The road to a very
good we want to know what the things to come would be, but then let's hear Jide's submission.
Well, I think that as a Nigerian, I'm happy. I'm one of those people who are happy that this has happened, because, you see, what particularly incensed many Nigerians was the silence from the presidency. Every time somebody around the president is accused of corruption, nothing really happens. And it sends a dangerous signal to people out there that the government is selective about its war against corruption, or that the government is bent on consistently covering up key members of the administration who are accused of one form of corruption or the other. You see, when people are accused, it doesn't mean that they are guilty, but you must show clearly that you do not want to interfere in the process of investigation. You must show that you do not oppose investigating such people. So to come out and even as a government to say that you have cleared Babashir Lawal, you are not in the right position to clear him in the first place. An independent committee, an independent body ought to conduct that kind of investigation. But for us to hear that, oh, the Attorney General has been told to investigate this man, and then suddenly we are told that he has been cleared, not many Nigerians were impressed. Because, look, whichever way we look at it, Babashir Lawal affirmed that he actually resigned from Roller Vision since August 2015. But if from the office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, contracts were awarded, and another company by the name of Josmos got the contract, and payments were made to Roller Vision, where we knew that about a little over a year ago, you were a key investor. People are going to start asking questions. Why were those payments made? Yes, Roller Vision was not the main contractor, but for what reason did they make payments to Roller Vision? That was actually what sent tongues wagging, and people began to ask questions. And it is clear in our laws. In fact, I will quote from the 5th schedule, part 1 of the 1999 Constitution. It says, a public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts with his duties and responsibilities. It was for this reason that Goodluck Jonathan sacked a minister, the former minister of power, because a company in which he had interest.
Professor Parton Naji.
A company in which he had interest got the bid for one of the power plants, at that time. And Nigerians felt, well, it was the right thing to do. You can't do that. So I'm not saying that he's guilty, but I'm happy that the shoddy investigation, from the look of things now, the shoddy investigations that the Attorney General conducted and passed Babashir Lawal free, our president has seen the need to have another committee look at.
But our president also had said, endorsed that when the Attorney General has said that Babashir Lawal should be, had a clean bill of this thing, and then he endorsed that, saying that, we saw a letter from the president. So what was it? Is this also to say that this action from the president is an afterthought, or what had changed?
The letter at that time, remember, even the senators, many of the senators said they were not sure that the president, the letter came on the eve of his departure for medical treatment abroad. So many of the senators said, look, we are not sure Buhari knew about this letter. But the thing, whether he knew about it or not, it's possible to be misled. And when you are misled and you took a bad step, there's nothing wrong in retracing your steps and doing what is right. What he has done now, in the view of Nigerians, is what is right. The government and some of his agents tried to explain away what happened with the funds that they discovered at what was it called, these towers now? Osborne Towers. But Nigerians were not convinced. And as a president who knows what he's doing, because Nigerians were not convinced, he decided that, look, this has to be investigated and that these people should step aside. That is the way it is done elsewhere. Once you are involved in a scandal, you should even just step aside for it to be investigated.
Okay, you want to say something?
But I think in the first instance, I'm seeing a trust betrayed there.
In what area?
In the sense that the president, the first letter he wrote, I think it was a bit emotional, because in the first instance, he wouldn't have, in his position, doubt the integrity and whatever the Attorney General must have put across to him. The position of Attorney General in this case to the president, he wouldn't have been able to doubt that. But I think it's unfortunate in the sense that you realize that for president to have picked some of those people as members of his inner or kitchen cabinet, a lot of things were involved as far as integrity is concerned. The test of integrity has been considered so high by Mr. President. But it's unfortunate in this situation that the president of SGF did not really understand the body language of Mr. President in the court of public opinion. That in situations like this, when you are fighting corruptions, because when you are trying to argue in favor of equity, your clean hands must not only be painted with white, it must be clearly stated that you must defend the integrity and the confidence, the implicit confidence the president has in you. So I think it's unfortunate again because the money spent on the award of such contract is even the bone of contention. That money is indescribable. As far as I am concerned, in fact, because you have to tie money to a contract. When you look at
the welfare, even of those IDPs.
Northeast.
So it's unfortunate. I wouldn't appreciate a situation where people will capitalize on other people's misfortunes to commit such crime against humanity. It's highly unfortunate.
All right. We quickly take a break and return to talk more on this topic. Stay with us. It's still Journalists Hangout, and we're still looking at Nigerians commending suspension of the SGF and the NIDG. Now, before we went on break, we were talking about the Attorney General's role in all of this, and now he is still part of the committee that is to investigate the SGF. How is this going to play out, seeing that he had already come out with a report that gave the SGF a clean bill of health? That question is for you, Dari.
He gave a clean bill of health. The president has suspended the SGF and called for a fresh probe. So in itself, it simply says that he didn't do a good job. Yes. Now he's not to do the job alone. He's going to have to work with people. And then the vice president and other persons are involved. So we should give the new committee a chance to come up with their own report. Because this is actually, for me, an opportunity to clear the audience table. The happenings in this administration, an administration that Nigerians place their hope for better change. Some happenings have actually showed that in every arrangement, political arrangement, or governance or administration, you will still find these people have decided to be calling 50%ers and kickbackers. They will always find a way of sneaking themselves into whatever good plans you have. And once they are there, while you continue to struggle to better the lot of the people, they will continue to patiently watch and see where they can see opportunities to do what they know how to do. For example, look at what happened in the case of the SGF. We're talking about a northeast that is ravaged by near famine, hunger. Even in IDP camps, people can hardly feed. In the villages where you still find a few people, hunger is written on the faces of people as they walk the streets. Now, somebody used that kind of amount to cut grass. From the amount involved to the way and manner the contracts were awarded to the payment schedule, everything smells of 50% in.
I think
if you could just hold the thought,
to
we
just
have
amplify what you were saying.
Abori Shade calling from Lagos. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I give you for the job well done there.
Thank you.
What I want to say is that the step the president took is a good step, right? But the fact is that the Attorney General of this federation has selected him to come on. Tell them to be watch out for that man or else he's in trouble. But somebody like that man, I couldn't figure out what is backing the issue of corruption and trying to back up some things which has to be reviewed so that you can know those people that are perpetrating evil in this country. It's not good enough. And at the same time, the senators, the legislators are happy about the succession of Babasa or Lawana of the thing. They should watch out because they too, their hands are not clean. Even Saraki himself to have stepped down for what allegation are accused of. And it was, people know that he has been facing some things in CCC. And most of the senators are following him up to the level of court. And they knew what is going on. They are just putting things back and forth for Nigerians. They didn't do things well at all. That's my own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Aborishadi, for your contribution. You wanted to amplify Darius' thoughts.
Yes, because when he was saying, looking at how so much money was paid out and all that. So I was going to say that Dantes Nigeria Limited was supposed to supply 1,225 tarpaulins, temporary tarpaulins, at a cost of 108 million naira. But this company had not supplied more than, I think, 125 or so. How much? 125. And they were paid 37 million. Look at the disparity. We were supposed to supply 1,225 units of those temporary tarpaulins, you know, at 108 million. You supplied only 125 units, and you were paid as much as 37 million. Which means that if they like, they may not even make further supplies, and which is what happens. Sometimes contractors get as much as 80% of the contract sum, and they turn their backs on the contract, because why should they come back? So at least you should have allowed them to maybe supply half of the items needed before you pay that kind of money, because you are going to pay them almost half of the sum. And they've only supplied 125 out of 1,225.
You see, it's unfortunate. I'll keep saying this, that if Nigeria as a nation misses the opportunity to get it right now under this administration, if we return to the drawing boards again, we will draw nothing. Because look at the picture that has just been painted. We are just being led by people who go into office to take away our collective patrimony and pocket it.
We will not draw nothing. We will draw cartoon characters.
But I think
if you look at this situation where Nigerians for a while have been talking about probably BUHARI is even being held hostage by some form of cabals. You see, for me, if there is a cabal now, this action is a respite. Maybe Baba has finally woken up to realize that, okay, cabal, allow me to work.
You are giving me one.
All right, okay. Just hold on a bit. We have Mohammed calling from Kano. Are you there? Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mohammed.
Yes. Really, I'm happy with what happened yesterday, by the suspension of the Secretary to the Federal Government and NIA boss. And really, the government has started the changes that we voted them for. And we want them to see action. After the panel have found guilty, they should face the law and be as an example or as an starting point for other leaders that are corrupt in the country.
All right, thank you, Mohammed.
Yeah.
I think on moral ground, these people have failed us. We must understand the area of class. We need to agree with what the school of thought of Marxism. There is a class coup against the masses in Nigeria. Because if you look at what happened clearly, you realize that the downtrodden have been completely disconnected from the ruling class, those who dictate the pace of things in Nigeria. Because if you look at the priorities of people in internally displaced camp, and again, the expression of the international community on what is happening in Nigeria as far as the issue of terrorism is concerned, spending such money in that manner is not only wicked, it's satanic, it's in fact very antithetical to common sense in the court of public opinion. That's just my submission. So class must be examined. You realize that when the appointment were made, the kitchen cabinet in those, I think Nigerians were reacting that Sometimes when you inject emotions into your you see, I've always been telling people that there's a difference, a wide margin between capabilities and emotional likeness. I might like you, but you are not capable.
To deliver.
Of course.
No, that is, it doesn't change the fact
So-
that
so
you can't
change.
deliver.
Yeah.
So you might be capable, but you are not my friend.
No, it doesn't change the fact that you will deliver.
So it's a big issue. So if the right peg has been fixed in the right hole in the first instance, because people were really against
Some of the appointments.
for some of the appointments.
Sure.
So
I think in the area of appointment, the president actually
No.
didn't. Look, let's place this NIA, DG, SDF even side by side. In the area of appointment, Buhari baffled some of us. Now, in appointing the likes of SGF, probably he went emotional. What happened in his leaving someone like Ambassador Oke, who was appointed by former President Goodluck Jonathan in office nearly 2 years into your own tenure, in such a sensitive position, NIA. And this man had in his custody, as we later discovered, that kind of amount. If a coup had happened, that money is not a small amount of money.
Of course.
And sincerely, I'm afraid. Many appointments carried out by former President Jonathan were left deep into this current term. I was speaking with a professor today, and he spoke about the university.
All right, if you could just hold the thought. We have Sunday calling from Kaduna. Sunday, are you there? Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I am here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, Babajide, good evening.
Good evening, Sunday.
Hello?
Good evening.
I can hear you clearly.
Yes, I am here. Good evening. How are you?
We are fine.
I want to express my happiness. The fact that I've gotten you today, I've always tried you, but it has always been impossible. Impossible.
Congrats.
Now, this Baba David Lawa and this NIA boss is a very good development. The truth is that I don't know whether it is because Buhari has been sick or because he's old that the people around him are taking him for granted. If it was during the military era, they wouldn't try the man like that. I know for sure that this government came to power just to remove Jonathan. Unfortunately, Buhari alone cannot fight this corruption. Even this Attorney General we are talking about, I am not too confident of him. Because that investigation that he carried alone about the SGF has careless. That is why Buhari has seen what is there and decided to suspend that man. Buhari will not suspend anybody if he is not convinced that there is something to hide. Yeah. But I want to appeal to this government and to Buhari in particular to put his foot on the ground and deal with anybody, be the ministers, whether they sponsored him into becoming president or not, it doesn't matter. But let him put his foot down and make sure that anybody involved in corruption in his cabinet, the person should be fired. Let him not do anything that...
All right, thank you, Sunday. Thank you, Sunday. We need to take a break now and return to talk more still on this topic. Stay with us. You're still watching Journalists Hangout, and before we go to the next topic, Dari, you wanted to react to Sunday's contribution.
My name is Afolabi.
Oh, sorry, Afolabi. I keep mixing it up.
And I think from the angle of this discussion, I think there should be an indictment from within. Because the issue is this. If the Attorney General of the Federation has cleared someone over an allegation raised by some quarters, there are evidences in which you used in arriving at such conclusion that, okay, this fellow is cleared. And such a fellow is also part of this panel. So because the evidence you used in dismissing such allegation is also very relevant to the present situation we have. So if at the end of the day, we now discover that you cleverly, because you're a lawyer, you cleverly dismissed this fellow because you wanted to be emotional.
What happened?
For us to establish justice in this panel, I think there should be a query within query. Because if you want to be fair, you must establish the law of equity.
If it is,
that is my angle.
If it is time for the cabal to go down, they will make more mistakes.
No, but that...
If at the end of the day, we now discover that you cleverly, because you are a lawyer, you cleverly dismissed this fellow because you wanted to be emotional.
What happened?
For us to establish justice in this panel, I think there should be a query within query. Because if you want to be fair, you must establish the law of equity.
If it is
that is my angle.
If it is time for the cabal to go down, they will make more mistakes.
No, but that begs the question of how thorough can this committee be to carry out this investigation?
With the Vice President, we are confident that he will do the right thing. Yes. This is a man we've known for many years. And people attest to the fact that when you give him a job, he does it well and he does it dispassionately. I always talk about what he did here to reform the judiciary and to clean it up in Lagos State. All those corrupt judges, he chased them away. And the first thing that the Vice President said to Tinubu, who gave him that job, was, see, you've given me this job, you must give me the free hand to do it. Because I know some of the people that will hit may be close to you. So Tinubu gave him that assurance that his judgment will be respected, whatever outcome, whatever he comes up with, they will abide by it. At that point, he moved in, he cleaned up the judiciary, and women who used to be in the backwaters of the Lagos judiciary, they came to the forefront, and Lagos started producing women as chief judges because those old men who were corrupt were chased away. So I expect that he will do a decent job, because if we say Malami messed up in this case, people will point to the fact that even judges or sometimes look at the same case in different ways. That's why you find that an appeal court will go against the judgment of a lower court. So maybe, just maybe, this new panel headed by the Vice President will go against the outcome of the lower committee and come up with a judgment or an outcome that reflects the fear of God and reflects the wishes of the Nigerian people.
But some have come out to say that this undermines the powers or the abilities, rather, of committees or bodies that have been set up to investigate, like the EFCC, the DSS, and all of that.
No, it doesn't. I don't subscribe to that. This happened within an administration, and I think it's even a very good step in the right direction. At least now, the issue of media trial, media convictions will be in the backwater. A committee within the presidency has been set up to look at allegations against officials of this same administration. That is not to say that should they be found guilty or to have to be culpable, they can still not be taken to the court of law. I'm sure very much that part of the recommendations of this committee, should these people would be that their trial is possible. So to say EFCC, where the EFCC is already on the case of DG NIA. They went there, they saw money, he came out. They did not mention his name in connection with the money. We found money in Osborne Towers. He said, oh, it belongs to my organization. Now, there is need for an explanation. He should prove why it is in it belongs to, and it was not declared.
He did tell the president.
Was the president
These are the questions that they were asking.
Is this money in the handing over note of either the former president or himself to the new administration? The covert operation, was it called off?
Did they even do it?
Was it called off, or is it ongoing? How much is it? Maybe this is not even the exact money.
Spend?
What
because they said that they had some covert operation.
So
how much was expended on the
maybe the first at the end of the revelations you discover that a year budget.
I think one thing must be clearly noted there. The treasury single account has been a very key factor in anti-corruption war. Yeah. Because take for instance, most of these
this
agencies before, most of the DG can single-handedly sign, you understand, open accounts and make some transfer and all that. But I think why things are happening this way today is because the Treasury single account has made it very difficult for money to be kept in banks and for someone or for maybe for one DG to just wake up in the morning and sign checks and do some transfer. So single treasury account has really helped.
All right, moving on now. The death toll in the outbreak of meningitis is now 745. This is as Nigeria continues to battle the disease with different measures. There were about 8,057 reported cases as at April 17th, 2017, out of which 745 persons have been confirmed dead. Meanwhile, the federal government said it has strengthened prevention measures to halt further spread of the disease, which predominantly affects Zamfara, Sokoto, Katsina, Kebbi, and Niger states. 745 gentlemen. Last week we discussed this, and it was about at 489. Now we have 745. And despite the NDC's approach of raising awareness, it seems the bacteria still keeps growing and spreading. What are we not doing correctly?
I think the foundation of any society is very, very key in anything we are doing in life. And presently, I think the state of the Nigerian economy has really affected so many things. Because I've been telling people in most cases that there is a wide margin between hunger and fasting. Monkey and gorilla may claim likeness, but they're not the same. So the foundation of our environment is an issue. Because in the first instance, this could have been prevented one way or the other. Because this is an infection. So it could have been prevented one way or the other before now. So I think Nigerian society do not, most people go to the hospitals not because they are sick, but they want to be sure whether they are not sick. There are two different things, of course. So you go to the hospitals not because you are sick, but to be sure that you are not sick. So the priority of health sector should have been taken seriously before now. And I think that is the missing link.
Well, it's unfortunate that we have found ourselves with another outbreak on our hand. It's saddening.
Are we proactive enough?
That's exactly what I'm about to just say. That I think not the coming of meningitis that I see as a problem, rather the spread. And I blame the spread on our not being proactive. I read that I think it was the health minister who was trying to explain that the difficulty as we speak is not that they were not prepared for meningitis, but suddenly the type they have now is type C.
Not the regular type A.
And it happens that the vaccines used to fight type A appears not to be working for type C. It's obvious from such submission that the minister and his associates, the PAMSEX, the people in charge, are aware that meningitis is in various types. A, if there is a C, I'm sure there is a B. And we already know about A. In saner climes, researches, inquests, study into the other types will have been done. Vaccines that can combat this, identified, sources of such vaccine taken care of. I also read that the problem now is that the vaccines fighting type C is very scarce.
Expensive. Okay, if you could just hold the thought. We have Sheriff calling from Lagos. Sheriff, are you there?
Yes, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I quickly want to add to the last discussion you had as regards the NII and the other Babachi. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. My only say is this. The last time this man was cleared, it was the same Malami that was also part of that committee. And Malami again is also part of this committee to also carry out the second investigation. We just hope that the vice president will be on top of his game, will not allow any manipulation. That is number one. Secondly, from some of the reports you have gotten as regard this money, it's part of the money released in 2015 February, and the amount was around 285 million US dollars. That means there's no how this investigation will be concluded without calling the former president to give account of the nature of this covert operation that was carried out. We need Nigerians and the media to be on top of their game to ensure the right thing is done. We can't continue saying we can't be calling the former president because they are former president, we can't invite them, we can't call them to questions. Please, the media to ensure this pressure is continued. Secondly, as regards the meningitis, you ask the question, what are we not doing right? We are doing everything wrongly. The awareness supposed to be, especially in the epidemic area in the north, whereby this kind of diseases has occurred time in the past, but nothing was done. But what we hear was castigating the enemy of Kano for raising the obvious, for saying the northeast and the northwest are the most affected areas in Nigeria. No. This is where the government needs to focus. The presidency cannot do this all alone. The governors from the north, from the south, need to come together.
All right, thank you, Sherry, for your contribution. We'll have to take a break now and return to talk more on this topic. Stay with us. You're still watching Journalists Hangout, and we are still talking about the meningitis outbreak, death toll at 745. Before we went on the break, Dari, you were talking about if we were proactive enough or not.
Yeah, candidly, we weren't proactive enough because I expected that we would have been. If there is a type A, it simply means there are more types, B, C. What effort did we make before now to prepare, as we battle the type A that is very common around here, to ensure and prepare against the advent or coming of the other types? And now we are talking about scarcity of vaccines. And I read somewhere that we're even waiting for the World Health Organization to help. Probably Nigeria is not the only country where meningitis is unravaged.
No, I think Nigeria too is also experiencing it.
Obviously, we are now struggling to get the vaccines with other countries going through the same difficulty.
Well, I think again the issue of insecurity in those environments again. Most people from outside the country who are ready to help, how secure are they to even attend to most of these medical issues? That is an issue.
We have this thing likely in the northwest.
Not in the northeast.
Not in the northeast.
Where we have issues.
And health workers would not mind going there. It's about our own preparation. No, foreign health workers will come to help you when you are on ground, when you are ready.
If you didn't invite them,
but there's this general perception. That's just my own submission.
Your thoughts on this matter?
Well, I think that the first question to ask is, how did we fare in attacking the last major outbreak of meningitis? The last major outbreak of meningitis in 1996, it killed so many people at that time. But clearly this one is higher now. Now, the vaccine coverage, your level of surveillance is what will ensure that you do not suffer such huge outbreaks in future. But as we can see, the level of surveillance is not good enough. It's not enough for the Center for Disease Control to be announcing to us that, oh, we have recorded 8,000 cases. That's not what Nigerians want to know. Is what you are doing. Not just to come and tell us that, oh, this is the number of people that have died. These are the cases that we have discovered. No, you must show us what you are doing. And generally, when it comes to emergencies, as a country, we do not do well. We do not do well. You saw that it took French doctors to come to Nigeria to tell us how people were dying in the IDP camps, how they were burying dozens of people every day in the IDP camps. We didn't know. The pictures of malnourished children that Nigerians saw after Medicine Sans Frontiers came shocked a lot of us. We couldn't believe that those pictures were taken here in Nigeria. It was after that, look, it became a big problem to the extent that even the National Assembly had to say, okay, let us investigate. So in this case, we have all kinds of problems. They gave us the impression that the meningitis had been defeated from last week. But if the death toll has climbed to above 700, it means that the National Health Authorities lied to us. It's approaching almost 50% of the level of fatalities last week. It shows that they lied to us, and we are not out of the woods yet. In fact, we remain in the jungle of the disease, and we remain in the jungle. It will be difficult to defeat it. Now, corruption also has a hand in the spread of this disease. We are hearing that vaccines that should be administered to people for free, health workers are selling them, making money off them in Zamfara State and other states that are worst hit. So why are we doing this to ourselves? How do we defeat this disease when what you should give people for free, you are telling them to go and bring so much money, you know, and people don't want to die. But in a situation in poverty-stricken areas,
environment,
and people can raise the money.
What do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to do? Some of them will just return home to go and wait for death. So it's unfortunate that we are facing this problem. Somebody was talking last week and he said, oh, 400 and something, just 400 and something. And I said, see, human life doesn't really make any, I mean, doesn't strike us as a big deal anymore.
In this country.
Elsewhere, if 700 and something people would die in less than a month from a preventable disease, because this is a preventable disease, the minister will resign. But we don't have a culture of resigning. In August 2014 or so, Miller and about 4 other members of the cabinet, he was culture and sports minister in the administration of the British Prime Minister. He decided to step down. Others decided to step down too because of that scandal. But in Nigeria, people, even if there's a scandal, people will not step down unless they are chased away. So I believe that naturally, by now, the health minister should even have resigned because this is a national disgrace. It's a national disaster. But we are underplaying it as if it's no big deal.
It's even an international one. Not even national.
I think the president or this ambassador should simply declare a state of emergency in the health sector.
Honestly.
That we could, let's go back and look at what is not being done. We have a Center for Disease Control. What are they controlling?
They are not controlling anything.
Ebola came, nearly ravaged just. Thank God for Lagos State.
Meningitis is killing people even in Delta State.
In Delta.
So that means it's spreading across the country.
There was this issue of a case in Lagos, though it has been denied. What are they controlling? I think we need to look into that.
All right,
I think there should be a scapegoat of those.
We need to move to the next topic. The tough time being experienced by the prospective Nigerian university students who are registering for the joint admission and matriculation exam has now reached the Academic Staff Union of Universities. In the light of this, the University of Ibadan chapter of the association has called for the resignation of the registrar of the examination body, Ishaq Oluyede. The chairman of the union, Dr. Deji Omole, noted that the difficulties the students are currently facing in the course of the CUMBERSOME JAMB registration process are becoming unbearable. He added that the process, if not checked, could make the students to be ill-prepared for the examination itself, having expended all their energy and time on the registration.
I think this is quite unfortunate as far as I am concerned. To me, education is very, in fact, education is very key in any society that believes that development is in their priority. Now, do you become more brilliant or you pass your exam more by being technically restricted from registering? You know, that's an insult, because that even insult the idea. In fact, your right to education has been insulted. Because don't be surprised, brilliant students and people that are even supposed to even make good grades will be affected by this, in fact, this kind of technical registration.
Of course, everyone will be affected.
Honestly, so this I expect in modern trend that registration should even be more easier. That is my understanding of technology. So in this situation, when technology is even adding more to our problem, I think this is not the best, and I would not appreciate this unscholarly move from a professor. This is very, very unscholarly.
Trying to streamline students who get into school.
So universities.
What I see here is what my son will call overzealousness. Because I think we have a culture of wanting to copy everything we come across, and sadly, we are not good at copying. Because sincerely, I have not been able to make anything serious out of what is happening with JAMB registration. Are we now encouraging students to study more towards registering than passing the exam? Because the technicalities of getting your name into the examination list will wear you out, and when the exam eventually comes, you have more of the process of registering in your head than the subjects you are supposed to even be sitting for. I think the man at the helms of affair in JAMB should seek to simplify things, not make it difficult. With what he's doing, I see a very cumbersome, from reports that we've gotten, very cumbersome process. And a dimension was added to it that frightened me. I didn't throw it away because it's Nigerian in nature. Somebody said, our dear professor did not envisage what is happening. But some people somewhere, in a bid to profit more from the process in JAMB, introduce some measures that will bring some more money into some coffers, and he bought into it and it landed him here.
All right, we have Musa calling from Jos. Musa, are you there?
Yeah, Musa is there, but I'm calling from Kaduna.
Kaduna, sorry. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, good evening, everyone there. Baba Jide Inaini.
Hello.
Yeah, Wabakadi. I just want to please make reference to the two earlier topics you discussed about the SGF, NIA, and equally the meningitis issue. I really applaud the government of the day's fight on corruption, but I feel we are swinging the whole strength on the financial sector alone. There are other very important sectors like security and economy, education probably, and health. If this government do not uniformly distribute its strength and wisdom in fighting the impediments and the barriers that are in those sectors also, we are going to wear out our entire strength in just the 2 years we have to finish. And at the end of the day, we cannot really say we've really prosecuted, because most of the financial cases that EFCC even presented are allegations. We not.
All right, Musa, thank you for your contribution. Now I come to you, Jide. Will his call for being sacked actually bring the solution that we're looking for?
I think that when you prove incompetent at what you do, you don't deserve to stay there longer in that position.
That's true.
I think that I'm thoroughly disappointed. I don't even think. I'm thoroughly disappointed in the JAMB boss, because he has not handled the situation well. You need to see how these students are suffering. Now, before the coming of Oloyede, there were at least 600 accredited e-registration centers. Oloyede came and reduced the number to 240. Now, having reduced the number to 240 across the country, including Abuja, the 36 states, including Abuja, definitely the crowd grew larger at those registration centers. But even after you've registered, you will now go to the banks to go and queue up endlessly in the banks to physically make payment. Whereas you could you could online.
Are taking care of that.
Through any of the payment platforms, you could just have made payment online.
Through scratch card.
You know, so what are we talking about? You move from there after you queue up in the banks, then you will now go to the accredited CBT centers. There again, you are going to queue endlessly for days to fill fresh forms and then do fresh thumb printing. I mean, it's a very senseless thing, that senseless arrangement. We are suffering these children. We are making them to suffer for nothing. I was in Maiduguri and I met a woman who was saying that this is too painful. And when you subject people to pains like this, they will give up.
Of course.
And we are saying that, the level of illiteracy is high. But we are not doing enough to bring down the level. So I think that the JAMB, what's it called? JAMB registrar has failed. He has to retrace his steps. It's like we've lost a year now. Basically, a lot of them will not be able to sit for those exams because at least there is a terminal date for registration. So, but this must not happen again. He must learn from his experience. That is, if he's allowed to remain there.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on today's show. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangouts. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Veronica Danik Boy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.